Hey there, YouTube. It's us, aka DM Drew and Milo. We're back
Hello.
with another Art with Sam. You can check out all of Sam's prior works on Instagram and Etsy, most prominently at Red Cat Studio. Highly recommend it. She does some fantastic stuff. Love everything she's ever sent us.
Links will be in the description as well if you'd like to get your own work done.
Ooh, baby. And you will after this one because Tropius came out so cool. I love Tropius. Oh,
Big spoilers.
yes.
If you have not seen session 46, turn away now.
it's,
Just close
it's
it.
already too late.
You already know that a Tropius is coming from 45, but you don't know the details that you're about to be revealed. So,
This is true.
So dip out.
You have been warned. So the prompt for Tropius. Tropius is a big lass. She's enormous. And she's got all kinds of horrible war wounds and other terrible things. Most notably, she's missing a wing, which has been replaced by the grass source stone, which is, again, big spoilers, but you were warned.
True.
She's got burns all over her legs, and it was mentioned in session for a while why that is, and we'll get into that in a little bit more detail later. But basically, Tropius, in this aspect, is one of the guardians of the Source Stones. Again, spoilers, but you were warned. She's got all kinds of crazy new abilities and things that a normal Tropius would likely not have. She's still able to produce her own fruits and such from the little like banana bunch around the neck, but there's also a ton of just normal natural growth all over the body. There's moss and vines and all kinds of different ferns and such growing out, and the source stone on her back that replaced the missing leaf wing is like crystalline and very thin, but also like very strong, so it still enables her to fly, which is pretty sweet.
And this will look a little different if you've seen the Farfetch'd one, because Tropius was animated by Sam. So what she's doing here is breaking them out into, this is kind of the starting pose, and this would be the next keyframe kind of going along in the animation. So she was still giving us some options here as far as, what pose we want to do, what animation we wanted to do. And then this last chunk here, when we were discussing how much vine overgrowth or how much the leaves would grow and, foliage and whatnot, she's going to whip up two different styles here for leaves and vines and whatnot. And so we got to pick between the pose, the animation, and the style, which I think the last time that really came into effect was the Kanto ghosts.
Yeah,
because we were picking like the smoke and eye colors and all sorts of fun doodads.
Oh man, those are so cool.
Those turned out so cool.
I still love those. Oh man.
So yeah, we're gonna see the two poses in the end. I think we went with pose 1. I'll have to see him again to remember, but it's the one that kind of stands on the ground and lifts up. Yeah. The other one, the Tropius, was kind of reared the whole time. But it's just, I don't know if we were being selfish and saying like more movement and wanting the one that does more stuff, but no regrets on our decision whatsoever.
Yeah. No, it came out very cool.
Yeah.
All right, jumping into that. Oh, look at all those jump cuts. Look at that. You get to see all the movement in advance.
The leaf references.
I like that.
Part of the process we don't really ever get to see. We just see the checkpoints.
Yeah. All right, now we're getting into line art. I
Yes.
jumped the gun. I got a little excited there, getting into that helmet. All right. But yeah, I feel like this pose and this kind of design structure was really cool. It emphasized like the extra vine growth and other ferns and moss. I'm loving these references, man. That's so cool. But just to show that, despite all the terrible things that this Tropius has seen and been through, it's still just a hub for natural life. And if anything, it's stronger for the experience.
It's true. And it grows bananas, which might be collectively the team's favorite fruit.
Yeah. I mean, if you only count like one particular member who knows exactly who she is. Yeah. You know, at the mention of bananas, and all of a sudden, you've got a best friend.
So, question for you during this portion. The tragic Tropius backstory that we learned about.
Yeah.
Just a tearjerker. How much of that was in the moment improv, or did you know that beforehand?
I knew most of that beforehand. I knew what I wanted to have happen, as tragic as it was. I know that sounds terrible to say, that I wanted it to happen, but I knew where we were gonna start and where we were gonna go, and then you kind of just ride out the moment in the in between, and you just sort of get there. It's kind of like, Michael Scott. You just kind of start talking, and you hope you figure out where you're going by the time you get there. I knew that the backstory was pretty set in stone for it. I knew I had to explain pretty quickly without losing anybody and without dwelling on it for too long, because it was pretty terrible. Of like, why are there burns all over the legs, and why is this Tropius just kind of out here in the woods, just hiding away from everybody? Why is it sort of guarded away from most people? But also, why does it have like kind of a caring and nurturing side? So I had to dive into that all really, really quickly.
Fair. Yeah, I just was thinking, if that was improv, if you were just going with it, I'm sure mentally you would have been like, this is messed up. But then once you're on that train, it's hard to get off.
No, I knew it was a pretty sad story. I hadn't worked out like every single detail, but I knew what I wanted to get through if you guys had asked. Because I have to be careful now with, there's a psionic duck walking around who could just, like, let me see into your brain.
Fair.
So I need to know a lot more than I might otherwise. But it's also cool because it's another way to kind of tell a story by actually telling you something.
Yeah. And I think it was a really cool way in the session how it was just... this Tropius was here and we were interacting with it, and I felt bad because when I was editing it, we're all just taking turns on our watch and like keeping her awake and asking her questions. Like, never gave her a break.
What about this thing? She's like, please.
And then Drip's like making her go up and down, and there's just no rest for her. But yeah, it was. I liked how it started as that, and she was just so enveloped in the nature and the ground and the trees that we didn't even notice the stone for a long time. We were interacting with it for a while, and then it just kind of shook loose, and we were like, oh no, yeah, this is a lot more than we thought it was. And it would have been intense because I know Bentley had some pretty miserable rolls and almost got us into a battle.
Yeah, I had a stat block for this thing just in case. I always like to keep those in the back pocket. I am so glad I didn't have to use it because I didn't want it to be this big, horrible fight that would go terribly. Just because you guys are so far from everything.
True.
But
and those that are part of the Patreon and watch our post show, there's a fun Easter egg at the end in regards to that specifically. Drew asked us as we were wrapping up. He said, "Which one stat would you like to know about Tropius?" And we asked, and we got the answer. So definitely check that out. If you've been on the fence and want to check out our post shows, this is a great one to get into. They start to get really involved, and there's one coming up that's pretty spicy.
Yeah. That's putting it lightly,
So look out for that one. But yeah, we're getting into the finishing touches here on the shading and the coloring, and then getting some translucence.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, right. And then refracting.
Ooh.
Sam's like, no half measures.
Never.
The beams of light are bouncing all throughout the structure.
Oh yeah. So again, at Red Cat Studio, check out everything she's ever done, because it's all incredible. It's awesome.
And it's awesome too because when we originally commissioned Crash's evolution, and he had the stone in his back and he had evolved and gained power, I'd kind of explained the situation and what the stone was, and that was a long time ago at this point. I can't even tell you what session number that was, but it was, I want to say, at least 10. So on our time scale, it's at least 3, 4, maybe 5 months in between getting these done.
Yeah.
And actually even more than that. But I had explained the Tropius kind of prompt we were going with, and she was like, "Oh, is this one of those Crystal Guardians?" I was like, "Wow, your memory is amazing." And she's like, "Yeah, that's super exciting," and knew exactly what we were going for, and really killed it.
Yeah, what's it like to remember stuff? That's awesome. I wish I could do that.
I think it was just that that touch of like, yeah, I remember this thing that we did and exactly what we're going for, and jumping on it and being all excited. It pumped me up more than I already was.
Yeah, so we're getting into animation, yeah?
Yes.
This is
rigging. For those of you that are into animation or any part of the process of making a picture move, this is just kind of putting the puppet together, rigging all the joints, telling the computer where things connect, that kind of fun stuff. So that's what this is, and then we'll get into the actual movement of it. But second question. So given where we were in the trajectory of the things we were meeting and the stuff that we were doing, what came first in terms of us running into a guardian in the wild, or wanting to implement a Tropius? And at any point, was that the same idea, or did those kind of come at a crossroad and you're like, these could be the same thing?
Yeah, so it kind of started with, I needed a really exciting and different grass type that I could do a lot with, and I was running into a lot of roadblocks, and then I had this idea that I could add in some other Generation 3 Pokemon to kind of whet the appetites a little bit. And if that went well, I was like, okay, if they're kind of gelling with this and it's going well and they're excited to just see something different, then I can just like blow their socks off with a magical Tropius with a gemstone for a wing. But if that hadn't worked, I think my backup plan was just like a big victory bell. And I'm so glad that this worked, because it's so much cooler.
Yeah. I was just thinking on my part, which is my guess of how you went about it, which is different, obviously, was that maybe when we were going to the wilderness, it was like, what can we do here? And that's how you came up with it, and then kind of melding it from there. But it sounds like it was an idea of what you wanted to do, and it's more, now's the time that I can do it.
Yeah, that's kind of what a lot of stuff is I'll just put it all in the hopper, and then when you get to a point where it's reasonable, just kind of throw it at you and see what happens.
Gotcha.
But with the Tropius, I'm just real glad that it didn't come to fights, because I would like the idea that Tropius is kind of a much more protective guardian than anything else, where like when Crash met up with the Feraligatr, it was very aggressive. True. And it was, this is like, this is my territory, why are you here?
Yeah.
Stay away. Where Tropius is like, oh, let me blend in, see what these kids are up to. Oh, they're just hungry. All right, cool. No worries. She's like, I'll watch over you for the night.
Yeah, obviously you don't have to answer this, but just curiously speaking, I wonder how long she was even in the woods before she came across another person and all stuff. So let us know in the comments, how long do you think that Tropius was out in the woods, and how involved do you think it was protecting the other doots in the forest?
All them doots.
And my new Talo friends.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys are dope. I like them. But there's Tropius in all of her glory, bobbing up and down. She's got the hops, the dance moves. She's playing DDR.
It was kind of fun to hide her in the corner and not allow you to see the wing until the reveal happened. I think it's like a good chunk through the episode until you get to see the whole finished product. But here it is at its regular speed, full size. Just what a beauty. Came out so good.
Yeah. She's perfect. She's literally perfect.
And you may have seen, I brought it up in the Farfetch'd episode, but the channel trailer has animated versions of our starter Pokemon. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check them out because they're super cool. You might see them in future projects, but it'll be a little bit till they resurface again. And let us know who you would like to see next.
Yeah.
Obviously, there will be Pokemon that you haven't seen yet that will happen because there'll be a video. But are there any in the past that maybe you're like, I want to see more of this Pokemon?
Yeah. And also, feel free to throw in alongside those who you would like to talk about them. Because it doesn't have to always be Milo and I.
It's true.
We're happy to be here for you. But if you're curious of someone's thoughts on a certain Pokemon, just let us know. Give them a shout out. Peer pressure them into it.
I vote Tegan should come talk about Natu.
Oh, just savage.
30 minutes of
30 minutes
shade
of bashing a little beach ball. So sad.
Or everyone but me talking about Mareep.
Well, you just angrily sit in the corner. Yeah, if we get Mareep done, I'll share the stat block of the level 2 Mareep that almost party killed everybody. It's terrible.
So funny.
All right, but this has been episode 2 of Art with Sam. Again, feel free to check out at Red Cat Studio on most social medias, but most prominently on Instagram and Etsy, where you can even get your own stuff commissioned if that's your jam. And honestly, it should be because she does fantastic work and she's lovely to work with. But I think that's going to do it for episode 2.
Yep.
Again, give us a shout out in the comments who you think should be next. Let us know what you guys think of the series. If you want it to keep going, please let us know because it is kind of new. We're just testing the waters. But otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next thing.
Yeah.
And until then, take care.
Bye-bye.